Thank you. On behalf of in the name of God, the merciful and compassionate, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi sallim. And good evening. Good evening. You hear me?
Yes.
You're good. You're good.
That's working.
Oh, okay, okay. Good evening. On behalf of the Shakopee Diversity Alliance, the board members and the members and the different committee we have in the diversity, I welcome you and everybody. Shakopee Diversity Alliance is a non-profit organization, is a 501c3. And mainly what we do here in Shakopee or Scott County is educating the public. And the public get to know each other, learn from each other. And also our vision is to create an inclusive community, vibrant, healthy, and prosperous. And in order to implement that, we do international festival, and we had the third international festival in the summer. And also we do other things like health and education, and we were part of the school referendum. And so now we will have one school, Mega High School. And also we are partnered with the Scott County and Rotary Club and YMCA and Alina. And Shakopee Diversity Alliance, it's funded through our members and our friends and our local business. And I don't want to take it more time because I like to talk more. And I will stop there. And I will introduce you the board of the Shakopee Diversity Alliance. Can you raise the board members? Thank you. And now I would like, this is the first time we are hosting for the Candidate Forum. I wanted to thank our elected official or our aspirant for the next election. And thank you very much for your accepting our invitation. And we are very honored, to receive this wonderful audience and this wonderful evening. I want to introduce you our moderator tonight. Our moderator is Daphne Sigert, and she is going to be our forum moderator this evening. And Daphne Sigert, she has been homeowner in Shakopee for 15 years, and since she retired 5 years ago, she has become involved in a number of community organizations. Daphne is currently the volunteer chair of the Community Education Advisory Council with the Shakopee Schools, which helped develop the Shakopee Diversity Alliance. Daphne's professional background includes journalism, public speaking, and communication. She has worked in local government, business, and nonprofit. Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our moderator for the wonderful evening tonight. Welcome, Daphne, and take the podium.
Thank you, Abraham. Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to see you all here. It's wonderful to see the interest in participating in your local government. And I thank you to all of the candidates who have come to talk to you and answer questions. This forum is focused on the issues that the Shakopee Diversity Alliance thought were important to this city. We appreciate the time and interest that everyone is showing, and the Diversity Alliance wants you to be aware through the questions and the answers by the candidates of the issues that are being handled in this city, issues that relate to the county or the state or federal government are not part of this conversation this evening. I want to remind you all to vote on Tuesday, November 3rd. Voter registration cards, we do have voter registration cards here, right? I thought we were.
Excuse me, I forgot to tell you that it was too late for.
Oh, okay, so there are not voter registration cards here, but you can get them at the courthouse or here at City Hall. Also, if you need to find out where you should go to vote, which precinct you should be voting in, you can call the city clerk here at City Hall during the weekdays, and she will help you find out where your polling place is. In addition, Shakopee offers kids voting in Shakopee, and there is a table out in the back with information about kids voting, and she'd love to talk to you if you have questions. This is an opportunity for you to bring your children, grades 3 through 12, with you to go vote, and they get the actual experience of going to another room and voting just as if they were voting for real. It's the same kind of ballot, and they vote on the same people that you're voting for. So it's a great educational experience for kids in Shakopee to get involved in the political process early on. I do have a few requests of you tonight. So please turn off all the cell phones now and anything else that might beep. And we ask that you have there is no picture taking or recording of this event. It is being recorded by the city, and it will be played back on the city government access channel. To find out when that is, you would need to check with City Hall if you would want to view it on TV. We ask that you don't talk during the question and answer periods. We do have some interpreters available, and they will be talking in small groups in the back of the room to help anyone who needs some interpretation. We want to make sure that everyone can hear. I would ask you all to please hold your applause till the end of each round. We'll be doing 3 rounds. We want to be able to give the candidates all the time possible to answer as many questions as possible, and all this applause and stuff takes up time. So we'll save it for the end and really give them a roaring applause at that time. The handout you received, oops, where'd mine go? You got it. The handout you received, it was on all the chairs. If you didn't get one, there are more on the table over there. It is an example of a ballot, and the way the names are listed are straight from the Secretary of State website. It is an example, and it's not for actual voting, but we wanted you to see how the names would look. You could take it home with you, and you can take notes on it tonight and as the candidates respond to questions. I wanted to share a few thoughts with you about diversity in Shakopee. Shakopee is a community that has just seen incredible growth in both its businesses and its population. In addition, the population is becoming much more diverse in culture and races. Many of these new residents that have come to the community are actually coming from other countries, and they require even more services to help them become citizens. Until 1980, which isn't that long ago, the city's population was under 10,000 people. Right now, we are right at the 40,000 mark, and it's projected that by 2030, we should have 50,000 people in this community. In 2009, 13% of the increase in population in Shakopee was with people from outside of this country. That's higher than the national average. Currently, the white Caucasian population, and that includes our Russian and Slavic community, is about 73% of the population. Asians are about 10%, Hispanic or Latino are 8%, and American Indians and other races account for the rest. While the median family income is $92,000 a year, almost 7% of our residents live in poverty. So Shakopee is facing new challenges based on the changing face and faces of who live here. Our elected officials are tasked with making sure everyone is safe, well-educated, and effectively served. This is what we're going to do tonight. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening, and they will be asked to give their opening statements in alphabetical order. Then they will have 2 minutes at the end for a 2-minute closing in reverse alphabetical order. A timekeeper will keep track of the time raising cards. Would you please show them the cards that this is what they will be seeing. They will be told what their time is, and there is a big red stop for them. And I'm sure they're all going to be really careful about that. Candidates are currently seated in alphabetical order, and the opening statements will be given in that order. Then the order is reversed for closing statements. They will answer questions rotating. They will answer all the various questions in a rotating alphabetical order. Questions were prepared by the Shakopee Diversity Alliance and will be asked in 3 rounds, with candidates running for city council, those running for mayor, and those running for the school board. These are all positions that determine and guide the direction of the city and schools to take care that everybody in Shakopee is well served. Each candidate in a round will be asked the same question with 90 seconds to respond to each question. There is also time for 2 30-second rebuttals for each question if the candidates so desire to use it. The questions are different for each category or round of candidates, and the answers by the candidates are their own opinions and do not reflect the views of anyone, the Shakopee Diversity Alliance, or anyone who has worked with the Shakopee Diversity Alliance. So, it is time to get ready and start this forum. We're going to start with the city council candidates, and city council members are elected at large on a nonpartisan basis. They do not represent a political party. They do not represent any specific group or geographic area. Each candidate elected will serve a 4-year term with an added year to accommodate the election cycles that have just gone into effect. Each will be in office for 5 years for this one time. There are 5 people shown on your ballot example. 2 of them have withdrawn and are no longer running. Aaron Wire and Carrie McGuire are no longer in the running for city council position. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening statement in alphabetical order. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer each question in continued alphabetical order. The same order will be used for rebuttals. Time is allowed at the end of questions for 2 minutes each for a closing statement in the reverse alphabetical order. So let's begin with Matt Lehman, Jay Whiting, and Jordan Olson. Now, find my questions. Here they are. I'm so organized, I can't find anything. Our first question for the evening.
Opening statements.
Oh, we need our opening statements first. Thank you. I was all ready to go.
You
All
can
right.
give your opening statement if you like.
I just gave my opening statement. I'm done with my opening statement. I'll have a little middle statement and hardly any closing statement. Matt, would you please lead in the alphabetical order for us for our opening statements?
Thank you. Let me start out by saying that the Shakopee Diversity Alliance that put this together tonight should be very proud of themselves. It's a great achievement for your group, so you should be very proud to put this format together. It's a great format. We appreciate it. My name is Matt Lehman. Obviously, I'm seeking re-election to the Shakopee City Council. I'd like to see the citizens of Shakopee have a voice. I'd like their voice to be heard. Granted, in our form of government, disagreements on subject matter, respectful disagreements, are a normal part of operations in a free democracy. What's more important is the policy process and procedures, making sure that everybody in our city has ample opportunity to talk directly to their government about issues that they have. Tonight we're going to answer questions. I'm looking forward to answering these questions. If you have further questions that you would like answered that we have not answered tonight, please visit my website at reelectlayman.com. There's a button on there for contact information. It'll give you multiple contact information to be able to reach me directly to have me answer any further questions you might have. So I'm looking forward to answering your questions tonight. Thank you for having this format. It's a great step. You should be proud.
Greetings, everybody. My name is Jordan Olson. I am a candidate for City Council. This is my second time running. I just want to start out by saying thank you to Diversity Alliance for putting this on. This is the first time ever. I think it's a really good step forward for Shakopee. And I'm running for City Council because I'm here to hear you. Many of you I have met before in the audience. I recognize some of you, and some of you I don't recognize today. So for those I don't recognize, and especially for those that are new to America, welcome and thank you for taking part in this. This is a very important process of this society we live in here, and I'm super excited to see so many new faces here tonight. So, you know, my name is Jordan Olson. Once again, I'm on Facebook. You can check me out. I hope that many of you, everyone who has a question will stick around after, and hopefully I can hear every one of you. I tried to shake everyone's hand, but there's been a few newcomers. So, you know, hopefully I'm also excited to hear what kind of questions we have tonight, because I really am unfamiliar with all the communities in Shakopee. So that's why I'm here tonight, to get to hopefully know many of you.
Thank you. And thanks to the Diversity Alliance for putting this on. My name is Jay Whiting, and it's been my honor to be your city councilman for the past 4 years. You know, my family, the Whiting family, first immigrated to the United States back in the middle 1600s. And my grandma actually came over from Sweden in 1900, was born right after they got off the boat, really. And to me, America and Shakopee is always been this conglomerate of different nationalities and religion. And the greatest thing about it is we get along. We can have our differences and still survive as a people and not fight each other. And I think that's the greatest thing. Great people make up this community, and it is a various group, and we all have differing opinions. And you know, when I first ran, I talked about economic development. I talked about fixing roads. I talked about improving parks. And over the past few years, we've done all that. I got involved with the Diversity Alliance. I think it's been around for a little over almost 4 years, three and a half years or so. And because I had some knowledge about working with Derby Days and our 150th celebration, the Diversity Alliance wanted to do an international festival, and it's been my pleasure to help out that subcommittee getting the international festival going, and we've had 3 successful years. It's been an exciting time, and met a lot of great people, a lot of people I call friends now, and learned a lot of things. I don't see any sambosas out there, though. Those are good if you get a chance to try those. But it's part, you know, you learn the foods, you learn the people, you learn the culture, and it's just interesting to me to learn about so many different things that I had no idea about. So thank you for having this event, and I appreciate I'm looking forward to a spirited conversation tonight.
Thank you. The mayor and the city council are elected policymakers for the city of Shakopee. They are responsible for adopting and enforcing ordinances, establishing public and administrative policies, appointing the city administrator and administrative staff, creating boards and commissions, managing the city's financial operations, including levying taxes and approving a budget, auditing expenditures and borrowing money, and transacting all other city business as required by law. They are thinkers at the 30,000-foot level. So they're the ones who take a look at what people's needs are, and they find policies that will allow these things to be addressed appropriately. So now we really are going to start with some questions. Question number 1, we'll begin with Jordan Olson. What do you see as the benefits of having various ethnic, racial, and other communities living and working in Shakopee? How does your background support working with diverse languages and cultures?
Well, first of all, my background is, I speak English, and I am a single language speaker. But how do I think it would benefit Shakopee to have many different diverse ethnic groups in Shakopee? Well, look at the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in Mesopotamia 3,000 years ago. These different cultures and ideas converged on one location and met each other, shared ideas, and as a result, they flourished. We are obviously in the Minnesota River Valley, but I see a semblance between that. And as a city council person, I believe it will be my job to hear everyone, not just one or another group, and I think it's very important. I will make strides to try to understand everybody. I apologize if maybe our names sound a little bit different, but no matter who you are, I'm going to look you right in the eye, and I'm going to show you the same respect as anyone else. And I think it's really beneficial to Shakopee to have us so that we can all learn about each other together and grow as a community.
Mr. Whiting?
Benefits, yeah. I talked a little bit about it from learning the different cultures and foods and different aspects of different communities and different cultures to just becoming friends. And I'm in the manufacturing business, and we employ several different ethnic groups and different languages, and it's always interesting to learn how somebody would have done something, how we do it, and well, we've always done it that way, and the other group has always done it this way, and somehow we managed to come out with a good outcome and make it work. So there is a lot of different ideas out there, and the best thing is when you can learn a new idea from somebody and take it and meld it together and work with it. What the benefits, I think, are is expanding our small thought of what we are in this community and making it bigger and growing it and learning from our neighbors and talking to our neighbors about what it is like to live in Shakopee and what it might have been like to live in wherever they came from too. So I think there's great benefits to local businesses. We have a lot of small businesses from our Hispanic community. We have lots of different restaurants and things that we can try different things. So there's a lot of benefits to having a diverse community.
Mr. Lehman?
We'll let the timer lady get ready here. You're welcome. All right, first off, the benefits of diversity. I think the benefits of diversity are opportunity and choice. And I say that because a diverse community creates choice for consumers because you have multiple kinds of businesses for all different kinds of nationalities. And if an individual wants to have a certain type of choice, it just broadens the choices available. So from that respect, that's a good thing. Now, from the opportunity standpoint, there's a lot of different types of businesses created by different cultures. And that creates more opportunity in the workforce for a wider variety of people. So that's also a good thing. But if we really want to boil it down to the basics, this country was founded on the principle of being a melting pot of the world, if you will, with all kinds of diverse people to it. And most of them people want to come to this country because of the opportunities and freedoms this country offers. So all the people in this country have the same desire for the same opportunity and the same freedoms. Our government by design is designed to make sure that the opportunities available are equal to all, which is a great thing for our country.
Thank you. Mr. Olson, did you have anything you wanted to add to this question?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Did it look like I raised my hand?
No. I'm just giving everyone that chance.
Oh.
I just want to make sure everyone will have an opportunity to respond. You have 30 seconds if you want to add anything to that.
Sure, I'll add something. So, I just had a thought here, sitting here. I read a book once called Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands. And it's a book about many different cultures around this world. And here, the way I was raised is that you shake someone's hand. Some cultures, you give them a slight bow, and even some cultures, you kiss. And not to say that I have a huge, extensive background in world cultures, but I can at least basically understand that single concept. And I think that Mr. Lehman also made a good point about our country being the melting pot of the world, and I think that's important.
Thank you. Mr. Whiting, did you have anything to add?
No.
All right. Mr. Lehman.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have anything to add that you'd like to add to your statement?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We'll move on to the second question. Mr. Whiting, you will begin. Do you believe that we have an adequately diverse representation on the city council, commissions, and staff? How can we get more underrepresented groups of people involved?
Well, quite obviously, we are a pretty white council, one woman involved. I think we don't represent our population. There's an election involved in that, and it's, as we all know, it's a lot of work to do that. The commissions, we need people to apply for those commissions, and then we fill those empty slots, and that would be great if we had a lot more people that would apply for those things. And part of that is teaching the different ethnic groups, the different communities, what it is to get involved and why it's important to get involved and how to do it. I think we have tried to do a pretty good job at keeping the committees diverse, but it's all in who applies. And I think I'd like to see that even better served and have more people. So we'll look forward to that next election cycle.
Another part of the question is how can we get people? What are some ways that you might be able to get more people involved?
Well, I think the Diversity Alliance here is a great opportunity to talk to people and get people involved that may be interested and maybe through them give them the times and the applications of when these cycles come up when we're hiring or adding on to commissions and boards. I think as far as the city staff goes, I think we are pretty diverse, and that's all a part of the hiring. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lehman?
Well, first, we're making a couple of assumptions in your question. We're assuming that individuals are judged based on the eye. And if that's true, that's a poor standard to set. What we're basically saying in this question is because the individuals serving you are white in color, they're not diverse. So that's telling me that because of what you see with your eye, you are judging an individual, and to me that's unacceptable. I don't judge individuals based on their appearance. I don't judge them based on their skin color. So I dismiss that right away. So is it adequately diverse representation? I think everybody on this council and past councils have done a very good job trying to represent the population as a whole, not based on race, sex, religion, or any other issues, but as individual people. So I dismiss the part about what you see with your eye and based on race. Is there opportunities to expand upon various nationalities on our council? Absolutely. The process has been in place for over 200 years. Anybody can sign up to run for office. If you have a deep burning desire to get beat up in public, I would encourage it. My time is up.
Mr. Olson?
Yes. Could you just repeat the question for the
Sure.
record?
Do you believe that we have an adequately diverse representation on the city council, commissions, and staff? How can we get more underrepresented groups of people involved?
Well, do we have an adequately diverse, do we have a diverse council? I would say absolutely yes. People are very different in their cultures and beliefs, but at the end of the day, I'd like to highlight how we're all actually the same. But, well, it sounds crazy, but guess what? There are 3 white people sitting up in front of you. I'm not sure the exact ethnicity of these other 2 gentlemen, but I can tell you I'm a pretty much Heinz 57 from everything from, Western Europe. And that's really, I think that's kind of cool. People ask me what I am. I'm just telling them I'm an American, I'm Shakopean, and I'm a Heinz 57. Do we have ethnically diverse? Probably, just in me alone. But I think that there's a lot of different new groups here to town, and my recommendation would actually be to get as involved as you can. I've been coming to these meetings for several years now, and like I said before, it's exciting to see more people get involved. The more, the better. I think we can go forward as a community, no matter who we are. I've seen a pretty divided council these last few years, and yeah, they're white people, but guess what? They have really different opinions, and I've been here to see that. And so, I would look forward to more of that. And the city boards and whatnot, I've been to several of those meetings, and there's a pretty diverse array of opinions there as well. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Mr. Whiting, did you have anything you wanted to add to
No.
this question? Mr. Lehman?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Olson?
No.
Our third question. What do you think should be done to provide mandatory diversity training for staff, including police and fire? And what would you like to do to enhance this? Mr. Lehman?
Diversity, police, just police and fire only, or all staff?
All staff, but that includes police and fire.
I think the department heads of each department would probably be better to answer this specifically, but I'll try to be as broad as I can because they know their individual departments better than I do. I would guess that from a direct citizen contact situation, the language barriers might be a concern, and they're going to have to work through that. I know they've got language lines and stuff like that now. So that would be one thing that I think needs to be worked through. But from a general city perspective, I think we need to find a way to have open communication, and that's starting to come now. We're seeing that technology-wise. You can actually take your cell phone, hold it over something with your camera. It'll take a different language and translate it right in front of your eyes immediately. So we have that capability, but that doesn't do a fireman or a police officer any good when they're trying to communicate directly. So we're going to have to figure out how to deal with the emergency communication problem, and I think that's pretty critical.
Thank you. Mr. Olson?
Well, mandatory diversity training, I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean linguistics training? Do you mean...
Working with people of other cultures, their ethnic backgrounds, or from other countries. And usually this type of diversity training includes ways to communicate as well as to educate and to offer services that will actually be helpful to these populations.
Well, working, living, and playing right here in downtown Shakopee, I've met people just working at Turtles and Babes from all over the world. And I'll tell you what, I don't have too big of a problem communicating with people as long as you really try. I would encourage staff members working with maybe someone who doesn't understand a whole lot of English to slow down, take a breath, and listen to what's trying to be said and figure it out. I don't think that we need to get worked up about the fact that we don't all speak the same language, but I think that we can actually, when we really try, meet each other and communicate. Like I said, I've met people from England, South America, Africa, China, different parts of Asia, just by working at Turtles and Babes. So we do have a diverse community. What I would encourage of staff members when it comes to training to how to deal with people, always be patient. Never get worked up about some sort of miscommunication. So, I guess I already, told everybody that, I am a local boy. So that's how I deal with it. And I'll tell you what, I've met some pretty awesome people from all over the world, and we always get along. So I would encourage, again, patience and communication.
Mr. Whiting?
I would not be opposed to any kind of diversity training. I think that would be a good idea. In fact, in this last police contract, we added actual elevation in pay, a little small bump if people know another language. And it seems that those police officers get grabbed up pretty quick if they know they have another language opportunity. So we're still trying that. Actually, I think some of the police officers are taking advantage of that and trying to learn another language. We also have, staff development, and I think it'd be great to use some of the mandatory, or I won't call it mandatory, but diversity training as some of the staff development. I think that's important. And there are a lot of people out in this community that can't speak English and can't even come up with enough words to get themselves understood. So in an emergency situation, police and fire, I think that's critical. And Mr. Lehman mentioned the language line. We can use that. That's a little cumbersome, but it can be used. So there's tools out there. But the more diverse our staff becomes, or at least trained in some of the different cultural languages or issues, I think is very important, and we can't do enough of that.
Thank you. Mr. Lehman, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I will. I think the international language of everything's okay is a smile on your face, and I think that the opposite is tears in your eyes. So that's an international starting point. As far as diversity training is concerned, I'd like to point out that a lot of the diversity issues are covered right in your rights as citizens. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of expression. You're allowed these things regardless of what others say. But we're back to the communications.
Yes, the rebuttals are only 30 seconds. It goes fast. Mr. Olson, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Oh, ma'am.
And Mr. Whiting? Thank you. Question number 4. Would you support the creation of a multicultural center in Shakopee where multicultural programs, entertainment, arts, exhibits, and other events can be held, as well as house an office for information and resources for diverse community members? Why or why not would you support this? And if you will support it, how would you go about doing so? Mr. Olson?
I think that's, well, first of all, that's been brought up in the past, just right here in this room, actually. And, I had half a mind to actually run for school board this year instead of city council because there's a lot of really important issues going on over there. And I think that's an excellent idea for the school board. I would go about supporting that by working with the school board in any which way I can as a city councilor. I think that's the right route to go because it's important to educate the future. And the school is where a lot of this diversity, a lot of people come together. And I think that'd be a great thing to start. And I would start by working with the school board on such a thing.
Thank you. Mr. Whiting?
Well, we got a great opportunity with the new community center that we are building and available rooms for people to use. That could be a great start. And I think what the Diversity Alliance has talked about and I've heard is more of an actual physical location or somebody's there all the time that can help people with different forms and licenses and many different ways to navigate our system that we've created here. And I'd love to see us get to there eventually. But I think we need to start slowly, and the Diversity Alliance at least is a good way to start. But having that community center is an opportunity to move in that direction and use some of that space for things like cultural and arts. So,
Mr. Lehman?
The biggest bang for the buck is going to be a collaborative effort between the Scott County School District and the City of Shakopee. If you try to do it individually and leave out the other entities, you're going to play catch up later, and it's going to cost you 3 times as much to do each piece. So I would highly recommend that we do it as 3 parts together: Scott County, School, and City. The second point I would make is if we do not put the community into the community center with everybody in our community, then we've missed it for a second time. This community center is for everybody in Shakopee, not just for some, and everybody includes all the diversities. They need to be a part of it. They need to utilize it, and there is a place for them there. So it is community. You utilize it. It's yours. You own it.
Mr. Olson, did you want to add anything to this question?
I just have one more rebuttal, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll save it.
All right. Oh, no, you have a rebuttal for each question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll add 30 seconds to that. I think that's an excellent idea, man. The community center, the 2 words, what do they mean? Community center. I think that's an excellent idea, but I also think it's very important to involve the school. Adding the county, because Matt is obviously a lot older and more experienced than I am, he does know how important that is. So I think that's also a good thing to do. But as a city councilor, I would start in Shakopee. We are the largest city in Scott County, and I would start with them and then move to the Scott County after that.
Thank you. Mr. Whiting, did you have anything to add? Thank you. Mr. Lehman?
Yeah, he didn't have to say older, but
He did, though.
I meant it with respect.
I know.
It's all relative, There's always somebody older or younger. Our fifth question is, how will your role on the City Council build diversity involvement in our community? What have you personally done to foster diversity in local government? What will you do to be sure a variety of groups, including those not yet U.S. citizens, are served and represented? Mr. Whiting?
Well, I've served on the application committee that actually puts people in, the interview committee that puts people into the boards and commissions, and I specifically wanted anybody that applied with a little more diverse background, and we've actually placed several people on different boards and commissions. So I've worked with the Diversity Alliance these past 3 years as their liaison, and like I mentioned, made good friends, and we've put on the International Festival, which has been great success with both art and dance and music and different displays. So I'm invested. I think it's been important. I've had my own booth down there for 2 years and talking about Shakopee culture and diversity. So I think it's important, and we got to continue that and grow that. So,
Thank you. Mr. Lehman?
Well, I've advocated in the past as the liaison for the Derby Days. I've advocated on behalf of the Shakopee Diversity Alliance at Derby Days board meetings. So I've done that portion of it. Granted, I don't want to be directly involved in the Diversity Alliance early, because when elected officials get involved in a grassroots effort early, it takes away the credibility of the group. And now that you guys are 3 years strong and you're doing some of these things on your own, like you are tonight, that gives you a lot of credibility on what you're trying to accomplish. So what will I do or have I done to support diversity? We're back to the same question and statement I made earlier. I don't see skin color. If I do, I'm racist, and I just refuse to do that. I have friends from every walk of the world. We agree on things, we disagree on things. They're all good friends of mine, and I don't think it's productive to try to divide people based on culture or religion or skin color. We're all the same. We're all Americans.
Mr. Whiting? Mr. Olson?
What have I done to support diversity?
Yes, and what will you do to ensure that you will foster it and be sure that all groups are represented?
Well, for the last few years that I've been coming to these meetings, I've never ceased telling people to come with me, to come to these meetings. The first time I came in here, I was all by myself in this room. And the second time I came here, I had 7 friends with me, and I'll tell you what, that left a big impression on several people. These friends of mine, typically they aren't into government and politics like maybe the way I or us in this room are, but by getting more people to come to this room and be heard, that's what I've been trying to do. And what else have I done? I blog online. I try to be in contact with people online every day. I started this online deal called Concerned Citizens of Shakopee. We're now 690 people as of today. I also put out campaign updates on Facebook and whatnot. So I try to engage with people every day. And the more people from the more backgrounds, I think the better. And just by doing what I've done, I've met so many people that it's amazing. This last month or so, my inbox has been filled with emails from people that I didn't even knew who I was. So what have I done? Just that. And what do I plan on doing? Just that. I'm going to continue that and hopefully do a better job in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Whiting, did you have anything to add?
I would like to add to that a little bit. Mr. Ibrahim Mohammed, mentioned that they have got their bylaws together and got their 501c3, and I forgot to mention that I wrote those bylaws for the SDA and got those through to help them. And I do disagree a little bit because as Mr. Lehman said, that we don't look at color or it's all white. I don't think the rest of the people in the audience feel the same way, and I think they feel, and I know there's other people that do treat different nationalities, different religions differently, and I dislike that. I think we can do better.
Thank you. Mr. Lehman?
I didn't say all white. That was his comments. I said I don't see color, period. Thank you.
Mr. Olson?
You know, we've been up here for several minutes. We keep bringing up white, non-white. I'd like everybody to know that our skin color doesn't matter. So, you know, if we can get on that, get on with the debate here and realize that everybody is a human being, I think that'd be great.
Thank you. This is the Diversity Alliance, and this is representing groups of people that have been considered minorities or are new to the country. So they have not always had been a part of, typically in any community, been a part of most government and community activities. So that's why the Diversity Alliance has put this together. Am I correct in saying this on behalf of the Diversity Alliance?
Yes, and then don't just think of race. It could be religion. It could be other things that make people out of what's considered.
It's diverse groups. It's diverse groups. I mean, Hispanics are actually considered Caucasian, but they have an entirely different ethnic group and background. So it's different backgrounds. We have time for one last question, and that is, what are the issues that you see on the horizon that will be affecting our community because we have so many different types of people with different backgrounds in our citizenry? How do you find out what's important with all of these different groups, and how would you represent them? Mr. Lehman?
Boy, I think there's like 4 questions in there, isn't there?
Yeah, that's 2. It's 2. It's what are the issues you see on the horizon that the community will be facing because we are getting larger groups of diverse people, and how do you find out what's important to them?
Well, I think what I see in the future as being the biggest problem is the language barrier, because there's so many different languages. So that's probably the biggest one that I see, not only in the future, but probably now. So that's the first one we have to tackle. How do we get this information from them? I think we get that information from organizations like the Diversity Alliance. You guys got a great opportunity to put together what your issues specifically are for your various cultures, and other groups have the same opportunity to do the same. Then that information can come forward, and it can be prioritized. And what is the priority? Obviously, I think language is going to be the first priority, and how you tackle 64 different languages in this area is it's going to take a while to figure that one out. But it is something that's going to have to be addressed.
Thank you. Mr. Olson?
Okay, so the next couple decades, Shakopee is going to continue to change at a pace similar to the pace of the last 20 years. There are, well, as Matt said, 64 languages. That's a lot of languages. I'm not sure how exactly that we would tackle that, but I personally have not had too much trouble getting along, really any trouble getting along with any one person or another, no matter who you are. So I think one thing that we could do is, first of all, pay attention to this room, what happens in this room, and no matter who gets elected. You got to realize that these people must be attentive to all issues, no matter where you come from or who you are. So, if you guys choose to elect Jordan Olson for Shakopee, if I don't understand you right away, you better believe I'm going to make every effort to. So, that I think language is a big one, but, people are people, no matter what. So you just got to be paying attention to who it is that's leading our city.
Thank you. Mr. Whiting?
I mentioned a little bit about some of the issues with language and the police having opportunity to learn more languages and actually earn a little more too. But some of the big issues will be housing, transit. We've got a lot of jobs coming in, so we need to hopefully those jobs are filled with a multitude of different diverse people. Another thing, and the schools may be able to help better with this, is connecting the youth to activities and arts. How do we teach the parents on, how to pick up the community guide and figure out, well, let's go play soccer or let's do something. How do you sign up for things? How do you get involved in band? Just learning how things are done to get connected. And how would I represent people? I think I've represented well. I've always been the guy that has stood up for any kind of minority group and fought for their rights, even when it's not been good for me. But I think that it's important that we represent everybody, like the two other gentlemen have mentioned, and worked for those issues and try and work together to get things done. And I have done that. I've been involved and got involved with different groups in the SDA. So I'd like to continue to do that.
Thank you. We have run out of time for questions and rebuttals. It is time for our closing remarks. We will begin with Mr. Whiting, and you have 2 minutes for each of you to have a closing.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the Diversity Alliance for putting on this event, and thank you, Daphne, for moderating. You're doing a great job. And thanks to the candidates here and you, the audience. Appreciate you guys coming out and filling out the questions and having us up here to answer them. My big question for you guys is, how do you envision Shakopee? How do you envision the next 5 years? This next election cycle is going to be very significant, and who you decide on, who will represent you, is going to be our future. We can continue on the road that we're on with steady growth and opportunity, or we can kind of go back to what we had before, which was kind of real controlled growth and stagnant development. My goals are thoughtful planning, customer service, and building partnerships, and the SDA is part of that. How do you envision Shakopee? I mean, do you want the rancor of party politics, at the city council level? I don't think I want that. I'd like to continue on with growth and prosperity and improve transportation and transit and improve that customer service. So if you want more information about my campaign, please go to jwhitingforcouncil.com or talk to me after the event or call me. I'm asking for your vote November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Olson?
Once again, everybody, my name is Jordan Olson. I've been coming to these meetings for several years now, and I've seen the last 2 years have been pretty tumultuous here at council. There's been a lot of talk this election about people's personal lives, this, that, and the other thing, and I think it's really important to realize that building bridges within this community is what my campaign is all about. People can say, they will say whatever they want to, but I'd like to remind everybody that I'm sitting in the middle of two people that won't even speak to each other, but they'll speak to me. So,
That's not true.
I'd like to continue to build bridges, and no matter who Shakopee decides to elect this year, I'm going to treat that person with dignity and respect. And it's all about moving Shakopee forward together, not continuing to do it apart. So if you choose to look into Jordan Olson, I'm on Facebook, Jordan Olson for Shakopee. I'm also open to anyone's questions, comments, concerns, and I'd like to make it my prerogative to continue to do that for the next couple years. So once again, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lehman?
Thank you. Once again, I'd like to thank the Shakopee Diversity Alliance. It's a great achievement for you folks. You should be very proud of putting this event on tonight. My name is Matt Lehman. I'm seeking re-election to the City Council. I've served multiple mayors, multiple councils over the years. I've got a proven record, consistent record on fiscal responsibility, which allows you to have more of the money you earn to better improve your life in your house. You can make that decision much better on how to improve your life better than government can. I've been consistent on citizen involvement. That includes diverse populations in our community, all of them. I've been honest and transparent, regardless of what the issue is, including diversity issues. I would encourage you to check out my website at reelectlayman.com. If you have any questions, click on the contact button. I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. And if there's a language barrier, we'll be able to figure it out. Thank you for your time, for coming here tonight. And again, you should be proud of yourself.
Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate. We really appreciate having you take the time to come and talk with us and share with us a little bit about who you are and what your thoughts are in relation to our various communities within Shakopee.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Daphne.
We will take 3 minutes, and we will start with the next round for mayor. is talking with the candidates running for mayor. The mayor is our chief executive officer for the city. He or she presides at meetings of the city council. The mayor is a voting member of the council but has no veto power. The mayor is elected at large on a nonpartisan basis. He or she does not represent any specific group or geographic area. In this election, the mayor is elected to serve a 2-year term with an added year to accommodate the new election cycle. So the mayor being elected in this election will serve for 3 years. You will elect one person for this office. Mike Luce has withdrawn from the race. The format for opening statements and questions and closing statements are the same as they were for the city council candidates. Let us begin with candidates Dan Hennon, William Mars, and Kathy Mokel. We're beginning our opening statements in alphabetical order, so Dan, would you begin?
Certainly.
2 minutes.
All right. Well, first of all, I just want to thank the Diversity Alliance for putting this event on. I'm really excited to be here and to represent the city of Shakopee and everything. To give a little bit of background on myself, I grew up here in Shakopee. And when I grew up here, I think my graduating class was around 260 some people. And now there's, almost 1,000 kids or something like that now. I mean, it's really grown a lot. And that just says something to the growth here in Shakopee. I have a background here. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years, and then I moved back to Minnesota. I went to the University of Minnesota. And at the University of Minnesota there, I was really able to grow and understand different cultures, different needs. I was on different leadership boards and everything, and really got to know a lot of people of different backgrounds. And I just take it as a learning opportunity. I'm really excited to learn and grow with all of you. I currently work in St. Louis Park. I do a lot of business dealings all over the metro market with people of all different nationalities and so forth, and it really excites me to understand them and understand their needs and everything. I feel that I'm someone that you guys can have a conversation with, that you can just pick up the phone and call or send me an email or just come here to a city council meeting, and I'm here to listen to you. So I'm really honored to be in front of you. So that's me. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know.
Thank you. Mr. Mars?
Welcome and good evening, and thank you very much, the Shakopee Diversity Alliance, for hosting this event. My name is William Mars, and I'm a candidate for mayor of Shakopee. I've been a longtime resident here in our community for 26 years, and I've been active in our community for just as long. I've been your past mayor. I've helped plan our city over the last, during the 90s. I currently serve on the Power and Water Board, so I've touched almost every aspect of most of the lives here in Shakopee, behind the scenes. I would like to become your mayor again, and I'm sure we're going to talk about some diversity issues here, which is wonderful.
Thank you. Ms. Mokel?
My name is Kathy Mokel, and I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm a business owner. My husband and I set down roots here in Shakopee 16 years ago. We raised our family here, we built our business here, and we've given back to this community. I am currently a city council member, served the last 2 years. I also sit on the board of the Southern Valley Alliance for Battered Women, and am a liaison to the SDA.
Thank you. So we will begin with our questions. Mr. Mars, you will begin. What issues do you see on the horizon that will be affecting our community because of our growing and diverse citizenry?
Question sounds familiar.
Yes. Some of them repeat, most of them don't.
Some of the issues that we're going to see in the future are actually some of the issues that we've seen in the past. Language, communication, fire and safety. I think city government has done a good job. Can they do better? Earlier we were talking about color or heritage. One of the ways that I did when I sat and listened to the city council members is you can kind of take that all out of there by close your eyes and then just listen to the candidates via voice. Because that's what we are all a voice of our community. And yes, we want to have a mayor and a council that represents all of us, but if you closed your eyes, then we can talk on an even, equal playing field for the benefit of our community.
Thank you. Ms. Mokel?
I see some of the more important issues is our housing and our transportation issues here in Shakopee. We need to do a better job of planning when we build out the west end of Shakopee and some of the other items that we've done. Mr. Mars did serve on the Planning Commission, but we built a lot of houses then. And so now 169 is backed up every morning. We need to do a better job of having not only the houses, but the jobs and the transit all here within Shakopee so we can truly live, work, and play.
Thank you. Mr. Hennon?
Okay. Well, I think the obvious thing is with the language barrier, but I think it goes a little bit beyond that, and I think that is for the general community to really get to know and understand the different cultures and the different people that are here and welcoming them into the community, making them feel like this is their home. And not being so segmented where people are over in this area and other people are in this area, but everyone can kind of come together and learn and grow together. And that's what I think is really important. I want to see the same opportunities for everyone here in our community. I don't see color. I don't see anything on those sorts. I see people. And I just want to see people come together. And I represent, I want to represent all people and represent them in how they feel, because everything comes down to feelings.
Thank you. Does anyone have any rebuttal they would like to state on this question? Then our second question, how will you foster and recognize the interests of all the diverse stakeholders, including those not yet U.S. citizens, in leading the City Council to represent the entire community? How will you as a leader make this happen? Ms. Mokel?
Well, I think we build a bridge with the SDA. I think they've done a great job in what they have built here, and this is evident here tonight. And as a leader, it is working close with that organization to recognize the needs of the community and the opportunities that are here for us. And I think that those are the first steps, is working with that. And as we build the community center, is having the diverse community room so that people have a place to go and bridge those gaps that we're really missing out on right now here in Shakopee.
Thank you. Mr. Hennon?
Well, to roll off of Kathy's response, which I think was a very good response, Kathy, I think there could be more integration with people in the community, as far as maybe some of the businesses in making sure they're inviting people of different cultures into their business, even just to show them what they do and how they do it and how people can get started in it. I think that it starts with partnerships with the schools, partnerships with the diversity group here, and making sure everyone feels comfortable in the community.
Thank you. Mr. Mars?
I think we've been a diverse community actually for a long time, for as long as I've been in this community and even longer. I think one of the best things that ever happened was this alliance. It's just 3 years old, but look where you've come. I asked you earlier to close your eyes. Look where you could go. That's the opportunity. Diversity, embracing diversity, means understanding and recognizing that each of us has a unique, and that our differences are our greatest strengths. These differences are reflected in how we see the world and how we see the community. I'd like to see this alliance continue to grow and foster our inclusive community And obviously, we are building now a community center. It's a big deal in our community. And that's for all of us. That's what the word community, and we're all included. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to add on as a rebuttal for you each to take at this, and that this question was trying to get at was, how will you as mayor lead the city in representing the entire community? Ms. Mogul?
Well, I think that is working with the SDA and that bridge, and then it's putting those programs into place and being that close partnership as we move forward. And if that's in the community room, if that's working with the county, if that's working with the state, it's bringing those programs here for our diverse residents.
Thank you. Mr. Hannon?
I think for me, I need to have a first-hand approach. I need to really be able to see and understand where other people are coming from here. And so I think that's just me getting out and getting to know people, getting out and understanding what's important to them, spending time where everyone of different faiths and different backgrounds, I guess just getting to know people. It's all about people. It's all about you, and I want to get to know you.
Thank you. Mr. Mars?
Well, I think it's a common, as a leader, you want people to be involved. In the past, we've actually struggled a little bit to get people involved in the community. The minute I stepped foot in their community here many years ago, I wanted to be involved. We had another debate the other night, and I mentioned a strong leader in our nation, John F. Kennedy, that said, don't ask what you can do for your country, ask what you can do for your country. So all of us play an important part in trying to make our community better.
Thank you. We do allow two rebuttals to each question.
Okay. Well, I think that Jordan Olson was right on the money here, where he was talking about getting people involved, getting them to come to the council meetings. And as a mayor, I'd like to see a good showing here. And that's where that's where all people can have a direct voice and opinion in the decisions made here in Shakopee.
Mr. Mars?
It all starts with you, which is us. You have to want to be involved. There's great opportunity. How to get involved and what's the best way to use your talents to be involved. This is a great way. But also we have many other boards and commissions that have different interests, parks and rec. We have planning. We have a utility board. Those are all great ways. We have an inclusive community here. We'd like to make it more inclusive.
Thank you. Ms. Mogul?
Again, I think it's about building those bridges and learning what the needs are in the community. And the more that we bring people along with us as we go, that is where we are going to grow that diversity within our council and within our commissions, is really showing people how we get things done.
Okay, this is another repeat question, and it was quite interesting the first time around. Would you support the creation of a multicultural center in Shakopee, where multicultural programs, entertainment, arts, exhibits, and other events can be held, as well as house an office for information and resources for diverse community members? Why or why not? And if you will, how would you support it? Mr. Hannon.
I think starting out with the school system and seeing how they're what their plan is. When you talk about art and culture, it's really important that those things get instilled in our kids. I think that looking at things from a city angle is also important too. So, I'm open to any idea that's out there, and I think that people can certainly bring those ideas to us here at the city council and everything, and I'd love to listen to them.
Mr. Mars?
Well, I think on what you can do, or a cultural center, I go back, let's look at Epcot Center in Disney World. That is a melting pot of different countries and heritages all at once. I grew up on the Iron Range in the industrial in the 60s and 70s. In Eveleth, Minnesota, they have a place called Iron World, where all the heritages are covered. They have their own week, their own days, where the foods and the organizations. We have this international festival that was started, 3 years old. Fantastic. That is great. Let's leverage that. Certainly, we have a center. The community center is our center. That could be a resource. If we move City Hall, there's an opportunity in this building maybe. These are just ideas, but if we want to cull out all the best ideas, we need everybody's input.
Thank you. Ms. Mokel?
I would absolutely support a cultural center. I think it would start with a task force of many of the different groups that are in this community. We have our school board, we have our Scott County, we have just community groups that are looking to reach out to these diverse communities. And as we start moving forward, I would absolutely support a cultural center.
Thank you. How would you go about making that happen?
Starting with the task force, getting the groups together, the Scott County, the school district, our community groups that want to be involved, and then start brainstorming ideas and start moving together or moving forward with a strategic plan.
Thank you. Mr. Mars, how would you go about making sure that some sort of cultural center was?
I think it always starts with the grassroots. Put a panel together, an idea task force. Try to get out the best ideas rather than having generated here at City Hall. Engage the people, have the people engage the government and find some common ground, and then look where you want to go from there.
Thank you. Mr. Hennon?
I think it's taking a hands-on approach and getting to know the people and getting to know what their needs are and what they feel that they want for a cultural center, and so that we can put something together in a good light that brings the community together.
Thank you. Our fourth question. As mayor, how would you lead the council and the city to examine issues and make decisions that reflect and include multiple viewpoints and diverse backgrounds? Mr. Mars?
Well, as I mentioned before, I think to try to get all those views out, the diverse backgrounds are actually our largest strength. That it's hard to get people to step forward. I know the current administration had this idea of this alliance, Diversity Alliance. In the beginning, it was tough to get citizens out to be involved. Look at it now. I think as you build the grassroots and build that effort and support for it, that's the way to do it.
Ms. Mokel?
Daphne, could you repeat the question?
Sure. As mayor, how would you lead the council and the city to examine issues and make decisions that reflect and include multiple viewpoints and diverse backgrounds?
Again, I think that starts with the SDA. I think that is the bridge to our city council. And it's talking with those different groups and getting to know them. There's also groups within that group. There's Esperanza. There's the school has Avid Group. Things that are going on in this community and bridging those gaps and asking them what it is that they're looking for in their council and in their community, and then servicing them.
Thank you. Mr. Hennon?
I think that as a mayor, it's the mayor's job to ensure that everyone in the community understands what's going on in the community and making sure that he or she is involving everyone in the decision-making process and getting out there. And as Bill Mars put it, it's not just making decisions here in the halls of City Hall, but it's getting out and taking a hands-on approach and really getting to know the people and letting them aware of what's going on in the community so that they can voice a concern or voice their opinion to you so they feel comfortable in bringing that to light.
Thank you. Does anyone have anything they want to add to this question?
I will.
Ms. Bogle?
I would also like to look into adding more festivals to our city and celebrating our diverse differences. You know, there's a lot of holidays that they celebrate that we don't as a city, and I would like to be more inclusive with those as we go forward.
Thank you. Anyone else?
That'd be a great thing for the Alliance.
Thank you. Our fifth question. What should the city do to communicate and encourage feedback to build connections between its multiple residential businesses and the workforce communities. Ms. Mogul?
Could you repeat that again? It was
Sure,
a little more
sure.
at the end. It was,
These questions are a little convoluted, so it's all right. We're trying to get everything covered here. What should the city do to communicate and encourage feedback that builds connections between the multiple residential, business, and workforce communities?
well, I think that, even the council talked about this, it's also hiring people that can communicate with those individual groups. And I know that's been a struggle here in Shakopee, because there's not as many people that are graduating with the multicultural to hire here. Or if they're getting hired in Minneapolis, who also has a great need. So I think it's developing that within our city hall and figuring out ways that our staff can work and get out the word of where we're hiring, how to get transit, and all of those things that work together with our city.
Thank you. Mr. Hannon?
Sure. Thinking about what would be most helpful, and what I'm looking at here is maybe like, working with the diversity group here and some of the local businesses to have open houses for people to go in to get to know the day-to-day workings of that business. Maybe even jobs can come from that. Beyond that front, just people getting to know each other. Can you repeat that question again?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
What should the city do to communicate and encourage feedback that builds connections
I think for
between
the-
the multiple
okay.
residential, business, and workforce
Sure.
communities?
I think the feedback option is having a comfortable place for people to turn in their feedback, if that's over the internet or if that's wherever that place is. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mars?
Well, I think there's a lot of different ways to communicate. It's again back to how do you want it? Is an issue affecting you, and then you come forward and want to learn about that? Actually, we're talking about how to get it out from the city out. Actually, this is our best resource right here, this alliance, to get feedback on an issue, to learn more about an issue and how it would affect you. I would use this alliance, this board. Also to two-way information. We need information to make our policies and procedures better and our community better, and I would push out to get feedback on how to do that. It's a partnership. It's a collaborative partnership. We're all in this together, and that's how I would do it.
Thank you. Does anyone have anything they would like to add? Ms. Mogul?
I just wanted to add too, is on our city website, having a multiple language option for our residents so that they are able to utilize that and get any questions to us, and so we can get back to them.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have time for one more question, and it is, how is your leadership style important to building a council and a city that is recognized as inclusive and focused on the future of a changing population? Ms. Mokel?
Well, I think for me, with my owning my business, I've had to work with many different diverse groups and languages, and I think that definitely plays to my strengths. I think the one thing when I married my husband, whose father is Middle Eastern, and learning the culture and the life, I think that's given me a lot of life experience as well. I think that with that style is then building those bridges and the consensus, and know that I know where they're coming from and the lives that they've probably lived before they've come here. And those are things that I think play to my strengths as a leader.
Thank you. Mr. Mars?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. How is your leadership style important to building a council and a city that is recognized as inclusive and focused on the future of a changing population?
Well, inclusion is really about creating an environment where everybody feels welcome, valued, and respected. And that would start right here at City Hall with my leadership. It means individuals can enjoy a sense of belonging and a level of support to do our best work. I work for the Target Corporation, a Fortune 500 company. They want their employees to be inclusive and diverse, just like their guests that buy things at their stores. They really work at it very hard. So my leadership skills would be for pushing more inclusive aspect of the city.
Thank you. Mr. Hennon,
May I ask if you can ask that question again?
how is your leadership style important to building a council and a city that is recognized as inclusive and focused on the future of a changing population?
I think for me, I have a big heart, and I really care about people a lot, and I treat others the way that I'd like to be treated. And I think that's number one. And I think that bridging people together is the role of the mayor, especially here in Shakopee when we have the diversity that we have. I really want to get to know everyone here in the community, and I really care. I've grown up here. I've seen a lot of change in the community, and I see a huge opportunity for our community to welcome diversity more than any other city in the metro. I have a huge heart and I really care. So, and I'm really proud to be from Shakopee and really proud to be here at this meeting right now.
Thank you. Does anyone have a rebuttal to this? Yes, Mr. Mars?
Yeah, I was just thinking about this a little more, and I think that this alliance had a diversity summit, and they've had their festivals every year, but I would probably foster a situation where there's more summits, because I think that's where you can get some great information to help build a better, more inclusive community.
Thank you. Anyone else have something they would like to add to this question? Thank you. We will go to our closing statements, and we will begin with Ms. Mokel. You have 2 minutes.
My name is Kathy Mokel again, and first of all, I wanted to say thank you to the Shakopee Diversity Alliance for putting on this forum, and I also want to thank Daphne for moderating it for us. I have lived in Shakopee and set down roots here 16 years ago with my husband. I have 3 children. I own a business here, and I think that as we move forward through this community and with the diversity, I think that I am the best candidate for that job. I have served you well in City Council the last 2 years, and I look forward to serving as your next mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Hennon?
Well, my name's Dan Hennon, and I'm running for mayor here in Shakopee, and I feel that I have the background to get the job done and to get to know people here in the community and to bridge people and to bring people together. I know at the, one of the big issues is the community center here in Shakopee, and I hope that I can foster everyone together in that project. I want to have I want people to feel. It's about feeling, and it's about caring, and I want this to be a warm, loving community for everyone. I want people of all backgrounds to feel cared, and that walking down the street, everyone knows someone. Growing up here, it was a smaller community, and we're growing, and so there's been a lot of changes, but I really want to get others in the community to embrace these changes.
Thank you. Mr. Mars?
Well, thank you again for the Shakopee Diversity Alliance for hosting this. Again, my name is Bill Mars, and I want to earn your support and trust for mayor. I've been here 26 years, and I've been involved in the community for 26 years. I helped plat your house. I've been your former mayor. I'm on the Power and Water Board that helps your lights go on. One of the reasons that we have a busy 169 is because we have a lot of people that want to live here. Why is that? Because we have something good going on here. The most important issues facing our community are the planning, building, taxation, and finances around our community center in the next 4 or 5 years. That should be important to you. The planning of our future City Hall campus and putting the words team and collaboration back into City Hall and putting civil accord back into the council. The next phase of development, which will be housing on the west end, retail, business park, is a key component for us. I would like to continue to build our diverse community while making stronger strides for a more involved, inclusive community. If I was elected mayor, I have the city goals here, goals and directives. Over the last many years, this organization has been developed that diversity and inclusion is not one of our goals. One of the first 10 things I will do if elected mayor is I will make diversity and inclusion one of the city's goals. I would ask for your support on November 3rd. Vote for Mars for mayor, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to come and be with us this evening and sharing your thoughts. Thank you. We will take 2 minutes this time for a quick break. This final round for the Candidate Forum is for those running to serve on the school board of District number 720. The school district serves nearly 8,000 students in Shakopee, Savage, Prior Lake, and the Jackson, Louisville, and Sand Creek townships. At least 60 languages and dialects from around the world are spoken in our schools. In 2015, our student population consisted of 63% Caucasian, 13% Asian, 13% Hispanic Latino, 9% Black or African American, 2% American Indian. The Board of Education governs and sets the annual local school levy, approves expenditures, approves educational programs, and ensures proper facilities and equipment are available to support the teaching and learning in this district. They also hire the superintendent, approve staff hirings, resignations, terminations, and leave of absence. The 7 board members for the school district are elected for 4-year terms during a November general election in odd-numbered years. 6 people are candidates for this for the regular 4-year terms. You will be electing 3 of these candidates. Because a board member resigned before his term was done, there is a vacancy to fill the remainder of his term, which is for 2 years. 2 people are running for this open position to serve for 2 years. You will elect one of them. Please refer to your example ballot to see who these 2 persons are. The 2 people that are running for the 2-year term to fill the vacancy are Mr. Paas and Mr. Canny. There we go. I had to look at my notes. I lost it. Yeah. Mr. Paas and Mr. Canny. Thank you. Since all the candidates are running for the same position with different term limits, the same questions will be addressed to all of them. The format for opening statements, questions, and closing statements are the same as the previous 2 rounds. So let us begin with Mr. Anthony Bonsanti, John Canny, who is for the 2-year term, Beth Ann Lavoie, Ken Ludsek, Matt McKeon, Tony Paas for the 2-year term, and Angela Tucker. Now, these questions are a little different because it's the school board rather than the city council. Pardon? They do have an opening statement. Boy, you guys are good. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. We have opening statements. That's why I didn't have my cards in my hand. I knew better. All right. For school board opening statements, we will start with Mr. Bonsanti.
First of all, thank you for having the forum here. I'm a 25-year resident of Shakopee. I served on the school board about 3 years ago. I moved up north. I recently moved back. My kids are graduated. I have a 22-year-old daughter and an 18-year-old son who went through the Shakopee School District. I now have a 15-year-old stepdaughter and an 11-year-old stepson. So I'm very involved with the school now, very involved with the extracurricular activities. I'm running for school board because I'm a concerned citizen for our children. First and foremost, our kids should come first. I also believe that we have very good technology in our schools, but is it working properly? I have a 11-year-old son who has an iPad, but he can't do his homework because the app doesn't work. Does that need to be fixed? Yes, it does. I'm a voice for common sense and the common person. I'll ask for your support November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Canny?
My name is John Canny, and I want to thank the Diversity Alliance for hosting this event. I'm excited to be running for the 2-year term. I think that this election is about 2 hometown boys, but 2 small town boys. Tony from Shakopee and myself from southwestern Wisconsin. My wife and I moved here in 2000 when I took a principalship at Sweeney Elementary. We've raised our 3 kids here. We have Lily that is 7 at Red Oak. We have Jack that is 11 at the 6th grade center, and Madeline that's at East and is 14. It's exciting for me to be here with the Diversity Alliance because I spent a lot of time working with diversity at Sweeney Elementary as the principal. At that time, we were the most diverse, one of the most diverse schools in Shakopee back in 2000. So I look forward to the potential opportunity to work with you if I am so fortunate to be elected to the two-year term. Thank you.
Ms. Lavoy?
Hi, I am Beth Lavoy. I also have kids in the district. My kids are quite young, in 1st and 2nd grade. I am a former high school teacher of science, and I'm currently a science teacher at Minnesota State Mankato. So my education prepared me to be an educator of science educators. So my background is in education. I really want to be part of the school board, however, to be able to listen and give voice to all of the different people that are out in our community. Partially, it's the teachers who are in the schools. It's so important for us to listen to them and to the students because they really are on the front lines and know what's needed. Partially, it's the community members, and partially, it's parents. So I want to be able to listen to all of those people and bring those views to the school board. The 2 things that I would like to focus on are diverse opportunities for all the kids in the district, whether those are academic or outside of academics. They could be after-school things, extracurriculars, but keeping kids connected to school because there is something that connects each kid somehow. And the other thing that I really want to emphasize is that kids are whole people, and we need to educate all of them, their whole person, reading, writing, and math, but also arts and science and being able to move around. So all of those things are important to me, and I would advocate for those as a member of the school board.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ken Ludzak. I'm a 16-year resident of Shakopee. I've had 4 children, or I have 4 children. 3 of them have gone through the Shakopee schools. I've got a 26-year-old, a 2008 graduate who is working for Blue Stem Brands. I've got a 2010 graduate who is a ELL English language learner teacher in Faribault Public Schools. I've got a 2012 graduate who is in graduate school in Wheaton, Illinois. And then I've got a 10th grader who's at the high school right now. I'm excited to run for school board. I think it's important that all of us do what we can to give back to our community to make it the best that it can be. I appreciate you being here. That shows that you're interested in doing that by being here tonight, being involved. That's why I'm running for school board. I feel like I'm in a place in my life where I want to give back more to the community, the things that I've learned, the experiences I've had. My background originally is in education. A long time ago, I was a teacher. That's what my undergrad degree was in. And I taught overseas for a few years, which was an interesting experience because I was the diverse person in that situation. I taught in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And not the same situation as what you're dealing with, but there were some things I learned from that. I'm excited to be involved here in Shakopee, and I hope to have your support on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McKeon?
Good evening. My name is Matt McKeon. I am running for re-election to the school board. I have served 1 term so far, hopefully another one that we'll find out on November 3rd. I've lived in Shakopee for 14 years. I'm a single father of 2 amazing kids, a 10-year-old Marin, who is in 5th grade at Sunpath, and a 7-year-old who is in 2nd grade at Sunpath. His name's Callum. I'm also dating a wonderful woman who has 2 kids of her own, and her oldest is at Jackson, and her youngest is at preschool, or is in preschool. So I'm learning all different sort of things about the nuances and the differences between Jackson and Sunpath. I've, like I said, been on the school board for 4 years. I work in human resources for a CPA firm, so I'm definitely very mindful of the fiscal responsibility of being in the school board. The reason I got into this 4 years ago was simply to be part of a dramatic change and increase in the quality of education in Shakopee. We've made great strides, but we have a lot of work left to do, so I hope to be part of it. Please vote for me on November 3rd.
Thank you. Mr. Paz?
Thank you. And thank you to the Shakopee Diversity Alliance for hosting this, and also for I want to applaud you guys for bringing forth the cultural awareness and education that sometimes some of us in the community don't realize maybe as strong as we should. I am a third generation Shakopean. I graduated in '95 with like 177 kids, I want to say. Niece graduated last year with like 468, and my nephew is going to be the first class, well, projected to be the first class to graduate with 600 kids. With that comes a lot of growing pains. And as you pay it more attention, you know, there's going to be troubles. And what we need to do is we need to be out there and be a face of the community so the parents and students and teachers have a place to go and come and talk to us. The district has obviously changed, like I said, 3 times from when I graduated, and I am, recently I got involved with the Operations Facilities Task Force with a referendum that passed, and the outside committee to make the best use of the district land. I am the only candidate that's born and raised in Shakopee. I'm part of the small town feel. I want to be part of the small town feel. Like Daphne said, there are 60 different languages or dialects spoken throughout the community, or school, I should say. And with that, we need to have voices be heard, and sometimes it goes without being said. These kids need people to talk to and be open. And I think as a small town kid, I am open and I'm approachable. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Tucker?
First, I'd like to say thank you to the Shakopee Diversity Alliance. What a great opportunity and what a great thing you've done for Shakopee to have your voice be heard. I moved here in 1997. I came with the flood in Grand Forks, and I just kind of stayed and stuck around. As soon as I moved here, I was involved in Pearson Elementary. I would volunteer in the first grade, Ms. Jaworski's classroom. We left for a short time. We went to Eden Prairie, closer to work, and came back in 2005. And as soon as we came back, I was actively engaged in our community. I have 2 kids. My oldest is a 17-year-old. He's a senior at the high school, and he has special needs, and he has offered us lots of learning opportunities through our time with him. We also get to start our journey over again with a 3-year-old who is at Stepping Stones Preschool. I have been involved in the curriculum advisory, the special ed parent advisory. I was on the facility task force and the strategic task force. I've been the board clerk for 4 years. I also am employed with C.H. Robinson, who is a Fortune 500 company, and we are all over the world, and I am dealing with different countries all the time as far as cash goes. I am an accounting manager. I look forward to our conversation tonight. I think there's a lot of good opportunities for great conversation, so thank you.
Thank you. Now can I do the questions? Thank you. We're all just chomping at the bit. These are a little different, as I said. Okay, we're going to start out with a little one of those convoluted ones. We'll start with Mr. Bonsanti. You will have 90 seconds to respond, and unless somebody speaks up, we'll bypass the rebuttals. All right, unless somebody really says something about it. Okay. Number 1, what should the school district do to communicate and encourage feedback and participation to build connections between its multiple communities, including those not yet U.S. citizens?
Well, first of all, I think every board meeting, and I know there's at least 1, if not 2 per month, I think we should invite and make it more welcoming for everybody to go to the board meetings and speak what's on their mind if they have issues that concerns them or their children, to bring it to the board. They're your representation for your needs, for your kids at that school. So I would encourage all of our cultures to come to the board meetings and voice your opinions, voice your concerns, and be heard. It's a public meeting. It's your time. So.
Thank you. Mr. Canny?
Well, I think there are many things that are in place within our district right now in working with our diverse community. We are right now serving about 3,000 diverse students in our district, and we have liaisons at each of the schools with different backgrounds to help with the different cultures. So I would rely heavily on them to help us as a board understand what our needs are and what our families need. Myself as a board member, it's hard to understand what people are going through that are coming over here from other countries. As hard as we can try, to put ourselves in their position is really difficult. And I felt like there were a lot of comments earlier that are more from us to our perception, but we need to think more about what is the perception of the people coming here. And I think that the liaisons, the ESL teachers, and the principals have a very good beat on how that is going, and so I would rely greatly on them.
And this question is really trying to dig into how will you make sure that these things are happening?
Well, I think part of that is getting a voice from the Diversity Alliance. This is a group that is basically independent, that has an avenue to make their voice be heard. I met with a gal out at the CAPS Association building yesterday and spoke with her about the Latino population to find out what the needs are in that population. So myself as a board member, I would make myself accessible to the different groups, but I would also seek the different groups out. I go back to that though, I still think that one of our greatest resources that we have within the district are our school liaisons.
Thank you. Mr. Bonsante, I interjected out that question if you wanted another 30 seconds there.
Sure. What I would do is take a grassroots approach and actually invite, if it's one-on-one or 60-on-1, invite these different diverse cultures to talk with me, whether it's going into the schools, whether it's setting up a meeting at the log cabin over by the pool. Get their input. If they're not comfortable in front of a school board, meet them on their terms. That's what I would do.
Thank you. Ms. Lavoie, I'm just for the sake of clarity, I'm going to reread the question. Okay. Because it's, turning all these things. Anyway, what should the school district do to communicate and encourage feedback and participation to build connections between multiple communities, including those not yet U.S. citizens?
I agree that each individual person has their own experience of how things happen in the world and what's going on for them, and there's no way that we can completely understand someone else's perspective. So I think as a board member, what I would feel is really important is for me to go out to those communities and try to connect with them in some way, whether it's at their churches perhaps, or maybe it's a senior group that's meeting at the Shakopee Community Center, or perhaps even maybe our high school kids could be a really great conduit into their own communities, and talking with them and finding out how could I go out to meet with their communities and find out about their needs. Without listening to their people's needs directly, I don't think there's anything else that I could do aside from relying on the other people in the district who have already been working with those populations.
Thank you. Mr. Lutzig?
I'm going to echo a little bit what Mr. Canny and Ms. Lavoie said. I do think it's important that we use the resources we have, the school liaisons, our ELL teachers. I know my daughter in Faribault, she works in the kindergarten and elementary school, primarily with Somali students. She has a much better insight into what's going on in that community than I do. So to rely on those resources, but I think it's also important to get out in front of the diverse community, in front of the people, so that they can communicate with us, so they're more comfortable with us as school board members, or so that they're willing to share with us. Because I think communication is going to come when you're comfortable bringing your issues to us, not just from us saying there's an open forum tonight, show up. If you're not comfortable with us, no one's going to show up. So I think it's listening to the resources we have, and then also getting out there in front of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McKeon?
And I will also echo a lot of great answers so far. Just to summarize, first and foremost, personal availability, whether it be available email, phone calls. My address has always been published in the district website, meeting people at their request at groups like this, like the Diversity Alliance, at other community meetings. But also, as a board member, it's our job to make sure that that our administration follows our strategic plan of being a district of excellence through excellence in diversity, and making sure that we're embracing our diversity, making sure our administration is empowering those ELL teachers and the other community liaisons to be successful and be involved in outreach, and holding them accountable for doing that. And then if they need more help, more resources, then they come back to us and ask for more, whether it's more staff, more budget to do things. We're all ears. We're always trying to embrace every student. It's so important that we provide the right education for every student in our district. And so we need to find ways, I think Beth Ann said it in her opening statement, about finding that one aspect that connects kids to school, that makes a kid want to come to school, whether it's theater or band or sports or science class, finding that one way to spark. And then they go home and they talk about how great it is, and their friends and their neighbors hear about that. And maybe somebody who's on the fence suddenly starts to get connected to school. So I think it's imperative that we provide the most effective education for each student.
Thank you. Mr. Paz?
It is tough to follow these guys because they bring up some valid points.
Everybody's going to get their turn to be first.
There you go.
Great. I think the culture is sometimes we need to realize that since we are so diverse, maybe in the extracurricular activities that a couple people have already brought up, there's some groups and some organizations that we don't reach out to, that we don't even know about, because some people are kind of hidden or kind of shy and don't want to talk about it. Well, with the excellence and equity group that's at the high school, I know it doesn't do anything for the elementary schools and the middle schools, but it gives the kids a group to talk to and kind of brings them together a little bit more. So if they do have issues and they don't know who to talk to, that's in store in the high school. Now, from me standpoint, I obviously would have to reach out to them and reach out to the rest of the communities. You broke down the numbers earlier that said what kind of nationality we all are, and I think if my numbers were right, there's 17% of them are non-Caucasian, Asian, or Latino. I mean, that's obviously a lot of communities out there that aren't we don't hold as a big piece, and we should.
Thank you. Ms. Tucker?
When I think about this question, I think about our excellence and equity, Tony just mentioned, that is new this year, that started at the high school. This is an opportunity for them, this group of people, to engage our families of minority and get them actively involved in our schools. And the intention is that this is not just going to be a high school program, that this will trickle down. This is just kind of a pilot program. And I would encourage this to continue. I also would encourage opportunities where we can maybe increase the amount of liaisons that we have in our schools. As we continue to have growth, we may need to add more people to help serve our students. I think about I was looking at the brochure for the Shakopee Diversity Alliance, and I noticed that there was a city liaison. Maybe we could offer having a school board member be part of that process to be more engaged. So that would be something that I would also encourage.
Thank you.
I have a rebuttal here.
Yes.
I guess I would like to add, and I think Kent brought up a good point, in that the different cultures have to be comfortable. So there's a couple of things that if I go meet with a group as a school board member and I don't have a way to build that rapport beforehand, I'm not convinced that I'm going to really find out what the needs are. But if I can link up with one of the liaisons, or our kids play soccer, maybe it's through soccer. If we can find a commonality or a person with that commonality that can help us get that information, I think we're much better off.
Thank you. Anyone else have any rebuttal? Question number, our next question is, what is important for the district to do to increase parent participation and community support for students of various cultural, language, and racial groups? Mr. Canny?
When I look at parent participation, we actually have really good participation for the events that we hold at school, whether it be conferences or school dances, bingo night. We have very good participation, but I'm not convinced that maybe all cultures are really engaged, and I think about what we can do for that. I think part of what we can do is we can look at how we hire people, and I know that this has been a board agenda item in how can we help our staff reflect better what our student population is. It's an ongoing obstacle. I think as our culture gets older and our second and third generations become maybe through the system and educated and coming back, I think that that's going to be much more readily available. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lavoie?
I think that a really good way to increase parent participation might be to do something like the LINK program that is at the high school for the students. So as freshmen come in, my understanding of the program is they get linked up with older students who are already at the high school and can kind of orient them to the school. I wonder if we could do something like that with parents who are already at the 3rd grade level or the 4th grade level when the kindergartners are coming in, or if we could utilize the PTO in some way and link parents to those different groups and have someone there that can help them figure out how the system works. Of course, the liaisons are a great way to help out with that too, but it sounds like they're asked to do quite a lot of things in general.
Thank you. Mr. Lutzik?
Like the last question, I think that it comes down to communication with the people who are the parents that are going to be attending the events, making sure that they understand what's involved. I do think the parent participation is fairly good in Shakopee from what I've observed and attended over the last 16 years or whatever it's been. But I think it comes back to communication, making sure they understand. And maybe as a board or as a school district, we have to look at, are we doing things in a fashion, the events that we have, are they in a format that is welcoming to, diverse communities? Maybe we have to give some more opportunities or some different opportunities for parents to participate.
Thank you. Mr. McKeon?
One of the first things that I'd want to point out is that we've opened up recently because we took on a new district office out at the old mall, or out at the mall. We've been able to open up a welcome center for those who are new to the district or having trouble finding out where to go. Because we are such a large district, we have 11 different sites. If I'm new to town, it's kind of, well, where do I go? This looks like a school, do I pull in there? We have a welcome center where people can come in and be directed where to go, or register, or get information about those programs that we offer. And then I would just also like to talk about our community ed program. We've got early childhood programming for those parents who want to learn English with the students, so that the student's not only ready for school, but that the family's ready to be conversant with that student as that student learns. And then it's already been mentioned a few times, how do we work with our PTOs, our youth groups, youth sports? How do we partner with those groups to find that commonality and find that communication mechanism?
Thank you. Mr. Paas?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. What is important for the district to do to increase parent participation and community support for students of various cultural, language, and racial groups?
I think we need to rely on the Shakopee Diversity Alliance to maybe help us out as school board members or the district to understand where maybe we're missing the point on what they're looking for and how to bring them into the community or the school district. Maybe that's just with parent-teacher meetings. I know it's putting a lot of pressure on the teachers when the parents go to the classes, but yet maybe they're just unaware of it, and maybe just a flyer in to go home in their kids' backpacks. Some way to communicate a little bit more that maybe we're missing out on.
Thank you. Ms. Tucker?
I think we have a long ways to go as far as bringing people to the table. I tend to disagree a little bit with the amount of diversity at local functions within the school and at sporting events. I don't see it as much as maybe other people see it. I think that what I would like to see is that we can find a way to engage either with the Diversity Alliance or our liaisons on a way that we can find a better way to communicate. I think if we understand what is the best method to communicate, we could be a little bit more effective. And I really think that we can engage some of the parents of younger kids, get them started and engaged in our district early, and perhaps they'll continue that journey as they go throughout our district.
Thank you. Mr. Monsante?
What I would do, and I know you asked about what the district would do, but it's hard to figure that out unless you go out and spearhead it. What I mean by that is meet with the Alliance, meet with the Russian community, meet with the Somalian community, meet with the Hispanic community. When do they have their gatherings? Go to their gatherings. Find out what's on their mind, what their concerns are. Go to them. Don't wait for them to come to us. We need to go to them on a grassroots basis and find out what their issues are. And a lot of that's going to be on your own time. But nobody said this job was a structured position. It's a volunteer position. We're up here to make sure our kids in this district are treated with the fairness, the equality that everybody deserves, and that means go out and get it.
Thank you. Does anyone have any rebuttal to this question?
Okay, I'm gonna have to burn my last rebuttal in that. And Angela, I wouldn't disagree with your analysis in the sense that I'm thinking more of elementary, and that's not fair. But I think our elementary kids have it figured out. I mean, the participation of our parents in the elementary schools is really, really good. But that was a good point because I thought about the football games that I go to and I don't see a lot of diverse people. But maybe it is that they don't want to come. Maybe they don't like football. And that's okay. And so I think part of it is looking at, and Tony kind of alluded to this, we have to find out what the need is. And so we, as school board members, can come up with all these ideas, but if we don't know what the true need is, then it really doesn't give the benefit that we're after.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next question is, would you support the creation of a multicultural resource center similar to what the St. Paul schools offer? If so, how would you go about making this happen? Ms. Lavoie?
Well, although I've been in the St. Paul schools a little bit with student teachers, I do not know what their multicultural resource center is like or what services it provides. In terms of supporting a multicultural resource center, it sounds like a good idea, but I think that it completely depends on what services would be provided, how it would reach different groups. I guess I just don't know what to say because I don't know about St. Paul's. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. Mr. Lasik?
Yeah, and I'm going to echo that answer a little bit as well. I've heard of the St. Paul Multicultural Resource Center, not familiar with it. I know there are some resources within the school and groups within the schools for multicultural groups. Specific resource center doesn't exist. As far as implementing one, it sounds, as Beth Ann said, sounds like a good idea. I would want to know what services they're going to provide. I guess looking at, as we are looking at building the new building or expanding the existing high school, I think that's something that probably could be part of, maybe not a specific room 24 hours a day, but maybe there could be a multicultural resource center that's available at certain times for the diverse students or for the students that are coming from diverse backgrounds. So I think it's something that could be implemented as we look at the addition to the high school.
Thank you. Mr. McKeon?
Yes, I think it'd be a great idea. I think there's three possible options for it. As Ken just said, possibly as we're expanding the high school, having some sort of room that could be either dedicated or be a shared space at the high school. Is that something that's better done at the district office and more open to the community than the high school is? Or is it something that was talked about in the mayor's debate, partnering with the Diversity Alliance, with the city, with the county, and making it a freestanding facility? I know that there's a space available for release in town. I think Mr. Mars mentioned this building may become vacant. It'd be great to explore all options. I think it would be important that we as a board sat down, decide what avenue we thought was most effective, and then do we want to do that ourselves or partner with other groups? But I think that it would be important to have that type of facility.
Thank you. Mr. Paas?
I do support it. And I do believe, though, we could tie that in with the community center, since we are all trying to be one community here. There's plenty of rooms in there. If you see the design there, we could maybe change one of the rooms. I wasn't on that planning committee or anything like that, so maybe one of the rooms could be designated for that. And then as it grows, as the community grows, we can change, and maybe then at the time we would need something bigger and more of their own space and venue.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker.
Yes, I would absolutely support it. I think anytime we can highlight diversity and what our city is like, I think that's a good thing. I think I would need to know a little bit more about it as well. I have yet not been there either, so I would need to know a little bit more about what's involved and what components would make up of this center. But I also think it is a partnership. It needs to be something that not only the school owns, but something that we can do with the Shakopee Alliance, with the city, and perhaps with the county.
Thank you. Does anyone have a rebuttal on this question?
I have an addition that I think I would want to make.
Okay.
I think that what might be, of course, finding out about the St. Paul Center would be a good thing, but I think it might be good to look at centers like that or other programs like that that might not have a central building, but might be implemented in a different way in different places around the country to see if there's something that might fit our community better.
Mr. Bonsante and I need to answer as well.
Yeah, we have not answered yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
Not used to having 7 candidates.
Mr. Bonsante,
Yes.
you get a full 90 seconds.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, I would, to answer the question, yes, I would support a multicultural resource center. How would I make this happen? I agree with all of them, but what I would do is I would take a different approach and try to collaborate and congregate with all the different cultures and what their thoughts would be on a multicultural resource center. Get them all together, whether it's 30, 50, 100 of them together, find out what their idea of a multicultural resource center should be, what things should be in there, what we should offer, and make a collaborative effort between the city and the school to make it happen so it's a partnership of everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Canny?
Tony, you're shining tonight. Well done.
Thanks for the opportunity,
Good.
John.
No, I think part of
Somebody would have caught me.
I think part of this is finding out what the need is, and I think that's what Mr. Bonsante is talking about, is getting the different cultures together and finding out from them what is the need, instead of a board that's maybe not as informed, try to develop something. So I would be in favor of that if it's a need. I would welcome the idea of meeting with groups throughout the city and having a well-represented group. And I also would look at how we can partner with Scott County, with the city, and it could potentially be in the high school, the community center, or maybe even both.
Thank you.
Now you can cut us off.
No, well, no, I was going to offer you the chance for rebuttal.
I got nothing.
All right, thank you. What should the Shakopee School District do to continue closing the achievement gaps between the diverse student backgrounds? Mr. Ludsick?
I think it starts at the youngest ages, especially for English language learners, to get them up and strong in their English as soon as possible. That the testing is still done in that format. I do think that sometimes testing can be overemphasized. It's how the schools are funded to a certain extent, so that it's important. But I do think you're talking about the achievement gap between minority students and other students, or the achievement gap between Shakopee and
No, between the different groups of students
okay,
in the
between
school
the different groups of
district.
students. So from that standpoint, I would say the resources to English language learners at a young age, that program probably could be expanded. I think there's opportunities. It comes back a lot to staff, listening to staff. What do they need? How can we help these students? How can we get them better resources so that they can get a better education and catch up to the students who maybe started off with English, have a little bit of advantage from that standpoint.
Mr. McKeon?
Yes, as Ken said, our preschool program, we've got a new all-day preschool program for 4-year-olds that just started at Central Family as we vacated that space. And that is geared towards students who maybe need a little bit more preschool, or it's geared for students who maybe couldn't afford to go to a private preschool like a lot of students do. We also offer summer school programs for those who need that start to the year, that kickstart. But what I'd really want to talk about is our high school academy format that we're moving towards. I was able to just be in Nashville a couple weeks ago to take a tour of their academies and to see what an urban district's been able to do for students of all colors. One of the students I was in, or one of the schools that I was in, was over 90% African American or African, and they had just the academy focus, which allows students to choose their area of interest and their electives. Just engaged the students. A fundamental building block that they had 80% average daily attendance at that school. And by the end of, by last year, they were up to 96%. 80%, that's every kid misses 1 day of school per week. How do you learn when you're not there? So by having students engaged and being in the classroom able to learn, that has driven their achievement through the roof.
Thank you. Mr. Paas?
Students learn differently these days. It's obvious. Sometimes I think we need to assist the teachers in how they can teach these students. There is, it's as the teachers learn differently, the students will learn differently, and they can instruct and help each other out. I also think the electronic devices that are coming through is going to help them. It's going to level the playing field of all students, because everyone's going to be up to par when they come into each class every day. They're not going home and missing something because they can't get on a computer or have any access to any.
Thank you. Ms. Tucker?
Closing the achievement gap is something that I'm pretty passionate about. Having the Excellence and Equity program starting this year, this is another opportunity for us to engage with our minority population. And I think if kids are more engaged in schools, they're going to be more we're going to see that test results. I also think that we need to start younger with our kids. We just started this year a Young Scholars program as well, and that's another opportunity to give kids an opportunity to be engaged and to look at things in a different perspective. I also think that we could set higher standards for our students. I know with my kid that has special needs, he needs to be pushed and he needs to be given that higher expectation that you absolutely need to try harder. And I think that's something we can also add to our schools.
Thank you. Mr. Bonsante?
Well, I think our parents need to be more involved with the achievement gap. Our teachers do a fantastic job with the challenges that they face day in and day out. But what I would also like to see is our parents meet with our teachers and our administration to somehow do town hall meetings to find out what concerns, what difficulties our kids are having with the achievement gap, with the testing, with the academics that are facing them. It's an effort between the parents, the teachers, the kids, and the district. Don't just put it all on the teachers and the kids. Our parents are just as much at fault for the achievement gap as our students.
Thank you. Mr. Canny?
Well, I think when you look at this, it's very important to understand the areas that our kids are deficient. And I think the district is working very hard at looking at very specific strategies and instruction and what they're using. Angela mentioned some interventions like Excellence and Equity, the Young Scholars. There's a whole page of interventions that teachers go through in trying to help our minority students improve. And it's interesting that if you look at the last 3 years of scores from our students, you measure it by the gap. So if our, I guess you'd say, white students do really well, then that gap can increase if our minority students don't. And so what you're looking for is a curve where our white students do well and our minority students do well, but at a greater pace. And actually, if you look at reading, the last 3 years, that trajectory has happened. So we've improved generally, but our minority students have improved at a greater rate. So that's been exciting. I could talk very long about this on what the district's doing, and I think that it's a very big concern, and we're not there yet, but we're certainly not giving up either.
Thank you. We have run out of, oh, did someone have, oops,
Ms. Lavoy.
Ms. Lavoy.
I think that an achievement gap question is one that is universal across the country. It is difficult to address because of what Mr. Canning was saying about how the test scores are measured and what you would need to do to address it. Our district is doing so many things for kids in so many diverse situations, including those kids that need extra support. The things that I see going on at Jackson just for the kindergarten, first, and second graders amaze me, that our teachers can do so much differentiation and individual work with all the different kids in their classroom of 22. And they do that every day. And somehow they're reaching those kids. So I think it's a matter of more time and more resources and more energy focused on it, but they're already doing so much.
Thank you. We have run out of time for questions now, and I really apologize to the candidates for messing up the order a little bit. By, I think it's getting late. So we are now ready for our closing remarks. You will have 2 minutes each, and we will begin with Ms. Tucker.
Thank you. Thank you again for this opportunity to speak with you tonight. When I think about why should you elect me to be on the school board for another term, I think about the fact that I'm committed. I am attended all meetings 100%. I have a very high attendance rate to all meetings. I think that when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Probably my North Dakota girl in me. But also, I offer a different perspective than the other candidates. I do have that diverse family. My husband is African American. Our children are African American. My son has special needs. So I kind of living a little bit about what some of you out here might be living in your day-to-day life. You know, we've taken a lot of time to listen to the community since their failed referendum. We've learned a lot. We've engaged a lot. We have now spent countless hours listening to this community, and I think that information that we've gained is good insight as we continue with this momentum that we're on, moving forward. Great things are happening. I'm excited to be part of it, and I would really appreciate your vote November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paz.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you for being here, everyone, and thanks for those that are watching it at a later time or actually right now, maybe. We got a lot going on here in Shakopee. It's growing. And with the growth, we're going to have a lot of questions. And as you guys as voters, you're going to want answers, and you're deserving of those answers. I want to be part of that gives you that answer when you need. I'm available anytime you see me, anytime you want to call me, email me. TonyCPOS@gmail.com if you don't know it. I want to be part of the team that unifies the community in the school and gives these kids the success and the knowledge that they can move on in life, regardless of the decision, whether it's a 4-year school, a tech school, just a career right out of high school. We need to make sure everyone's ready.
Thank you. Mr. McKeon?
Well, thank you to the Diversity Alliance. Thank you for everybody attending and watching. It has been a profound honor in my life to represent this community on the school board. I would like to continue to do it. I believe that we are doing some great things. But as I said before, well, we've made great strides. There's miles to go before we sleep. We need to continue, make the vision of the referendum come to life. Continue our strong record of excellence in finance. We've now won 3 years in a row the Excellence in Finance Award. Continue to find programs such as AVID that help to target students of color and get everybody involved and work to close the achievement gap. But overall, I stand for improving the quality of overall education in Shakopee. Thank you, and please vote for me on November 3rd.
Thank you. Mr. Ludzek?
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity to be here tonight. And I want to echo something I said at the debate on, was that Monday night? This week's flown by. That Shakopee should be very happy that they have this, I think, excellent quality of candidates for school board. A lot of good people up here. In 2015, the world is small. there's probably not, a week doesn't go by where I don't have 2 or 3 calls with Europe or Latin America. And diversity is a fact of our future. It's here now. It's not going to change. Our students, my children, your children, our students in Shakopee are going to compete with the world, with a diverse world, not just with other kids from Shakopee, to a certain extent, yes, other kids from Minnesota, but with a diverse world. So looking at that, we need, as a school board, as a school district, as a city, to make sure that they have the best chance for success in whatever they decide to do to compete in that world, to work in that world in the future. And as a school board member, I'd be committed to making that happen in whatever way that I could. And I guess that's, I'd appreciate your support on November 3rd. And again, I'm excited to be up here with these good people. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lavoie?
I am very excited that Shakopee has a diversity alliance. When I moved here, I moved from the Chicago area, and our population was really different 15 years ago from Minnesota 15 years ago when I moved here. And so I'm really excited that the community has become so diverse. Again, as I said in my opening statement, I'm really committed to giving every kid a chance to connect in some way with lots of different diverse opportunities. Those can happen so many different ways, but one really neat way that they can happen is that we have a diverse community out there that can take part in things that are going on in the high school or in the elementary schools, or just support their own kids. So diverse opportunities are easier to come by when you have a really diverse community to go with them. And then secondly, I still really strongly believe that kids are whole people that have all these different parts of them that need to be educated and help them get connected to school.
Thank you. Mr. Canny?
Well, believe it or not, my daughter is a minority in her class. She is one of 2 Caucasian girls in her class, and we love it. We celebrate diversity. And it's interesting when I say that the kids have it figured out. I really think they do. The way that the kids interact, it is so transparent in it. They don't have the issues that we as adults are talking about as far as who's included and who's not, at least the sense that I see from our kids in our school. I'm very interested to hear if my perception is not correct and what we can do to help better serve our minority students. When looking at my background, I have a master's degree in education. I have a bachelor's degree in education. I have a specialist degree in educational leadership. I'm very excited to use those tools along with my business background to help us make some very tough decisions with our new referendum and what we can do with the money that we've been given through that referendum to be better stewards to our minority population. I welcome the input from the groups as we move along in this process. My sense is that it'll be very similar to what the process was to prepare for the referendum as far as getting input. So I encourage you to encourage the people that you hang around with, the people in your culture, to please have them attend that and to please apply to be in that group to plan so you have a very strong voice. Thank you, and I hope I have your support on November 3rd.
Thank you, and Mr. Bonsante?
First of all, thanks to the Shakopee Diversity Alliance for having us. I've been in Shakopee for 25 years. I'm devoted to every culture that our district serves. We serve a variety of different cultures, and I will guarantee you that every one of them will have my best interest at stake. I also believe that we have to be fiscally responsible with the $110 million that we were given. That's where you guys come into play. I will come to you and ask you guys what we need, what we want, what we should have, because you're the people paying for it. It's your money. I have 2 kids in the district that get along with everybody, just like John. Our kids play football together, but he's right. They get it. They totally get it. They have no boundaries. They just love life. And that's what we have to concentrate on, is our kids, our cultures, and making sure they're ready after high school, not just for a college education. Some kids don't go to college. They just want a job right after high school. Adult readiness is what we should be preparing these kids for, and the ones that want college readiness, it's there. But we have to allow them to go get it. We have to push them, like Angela said. But first and foremost, our kids come first, and I will be there. November 3rd, please vote for me.
Thank you. And thank you to all the candidates. It was a very, very informative session, and we really appreciate having you take the time to speak with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank everyone who participated in this event this evening, and I especially appreciated working with the Shakopee Diversity Alliance and our timekeepers. Thank you very much, timekeepers. Please be sure and vote on Tuesday, November 3rd. Remember to bring your children with you. They can do kids voting if they're 3rd through 12th grade. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.